Matthew 7:7. Does anybody know what that verse is? It's one of America's favorites. Ask, and it shall be given to you. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and the door will be open to you. For everyone that asks receives. Isn't it interesting? He repeats it now. And everyone who seeks shall find. And everyone who knocks, the door shall be opened. You know, one of the biggest attacks that we can feel as Christians is when Satan uses a scripture to help us unlearn the things of God. This is when we have to be very careful. When scripture is being used as evidence why it's not true. There's such a thing in law, we call it textualism. When we read a text, we have to do two things. When there's a law, we have to first say, what do the words say? That's textualism. After we've done that, we also need to go through the context. What did it mean at the time it was written? Right? If we're not careful, we get caught up with one and we don't give time to the other. If we focus too much on the context, we forget that the Bible is living, breathing, and it's alive. Because we're only applying it to then and not now. If we only look at the textualism of it, what does the word say? We can miss the point. It's very important when reading the Bible to do both. And it's very interesting when they somewhat provide a conundrum. We won't go into that. But sometimes that does happen. It's very interesting. And usually that means you're on the cusp of a revelation. And that's just a little key for you to keep this week. So the devil uses scripture to make us believe it's not true. Well, okay, we know the words. I'm not going to go through what the words say. You just heard them. They're very simple. Ask, seek, knock. They will be done for you. Let's go down. Same chapter. Very next section is starting at verse 9. Also a common used scripture. Which of you, if your son asks for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for fish, will he give him a snake? If you then, though you are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give good gifts to those who ask him? Okay? These are related. Notice, though, let me put it in the 21st century New America version. If your son asks for a new car, will he give him a bike? Or if your son asks for a donut, will he give him an apple? Let's say it another way. If your son asks for a motorcycle, will he give him a moped? And if your son asks for a piece of cake, is he gonna give him a nice lean piece of chicken? Is that the scripture we're reading? Because that's how it's often used. Whatever I ask, it shall be given. Whatever it is, Lord, I'm asking for a new ring. Now, your word said, if I ask, it shall be given. You are setting yourself up for an attack, my friend. That is not what that scripture's saying. Let's look at the words. Now let's go to textualism, okay? Let's look at the text. What does the text say? If your son asks for bread, what is bread? Nourishment. What is a stone? It's got mass. It ain't living, and you can't eat it. What's a fish? And what's a snake? Notice the examples he used, bread and a fish. Now, there's a lot of analysis we could go down this way. For he is the bread, and the fish are the souls of men. I'll make you fishers of men. Now, there's lots of things this verse could be saying. But if we're just looking at what the want is, he's calling it a gift. Bread in your mouth as a gift. Fish on your plate as a gift. And we're going and saying, I want a new car. I want to be debt-free. I want new clothes. And Satan is preying on you because we're taking the verse out of context. He's saying, you asked me for nourishment. It is my will to give it to you. What about the gifts of the Spirit? Because at the beginning of the chapter, he's talking about judgment. By the end of the chapter, he's talking about prophecy. So when we go and we say, God, let's apply it to this. God, I want the gifts of the Spirit. No, I want the gift of prophecy. Let it strike me, Lord. Bring it on. I'm ready. No, let's go back up, okay? Let's go back up to our original verse. Notice that these are semicolons and not periods. Once again, what are the words before us? Semicolons are different than periods. Periods outline the ending of a thought. It's over, it's complete. Semicolons identify phrases that can stand alone independently, but they're related. It's not over yet. You can stand them by themselves, but you cannot end the sentence because there's some sort of dependence on each other. So here's the answer. When we're asking for things from God, first we say, let's make sure they're the right things in the context of the verse. Now, some of you are asking, seeking, trying to find, trying to knock for a gift for your ministry. Let's find out how we do it, because sometimes it's actually confusing. Ask and it shall be given to you. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door will be open to you. Ask and it shall be given. When you ask, it's given. There, all confusion gone. You ask for something that he has told you, I will give it to you, because he later says, if you ask, it shall be given. Period. Done. Confusion over. But it doesn't end there, because the next statement is dependent still. Seek and you shall find it. When he gives you a gift, you don't just stand there and raise your arms, get ready to be struck by lightning when all of a sudden everything's going to change. You ask, now seek. I asked for the gift of prophecy. Now I'm going to keep my eyes open in the service. Now I'm going to be thinking, Lord, was that from you or is that from me? Now I'm practicing. Now once you find it, that might mean you're used a few times. That might mean on one Sunday you were right on point going up to somebody at the altar. And you go, ooh, he did it. Oh, this is it. It ain't it yet. It ain't it yet. You're on your way. You're at step 2. You found it. There's a third step. Now go up to that door. And the Hebrew word, it just says the opening. It's an opening. And knock. And it shall be opened. Do you know what it takes to go up to a mysterious door? You have no idea what's meant on the other side. It's not going to your neighbor's house. Some grand opening before you. There's some mystery. There's some chill that comes over you. And knock on it. And then it shall be opened. So we ask for the gift, we seek for the gift, we find the gift, and once you've been used a few times, now it's time to be bold. And when you get the boldness to now knock at the door, you're going to walk through a new dimension that he talks about, that the signs and wonders will follow. He has revealed a grand mystery. See, it can get lost. How? I was used a couple of times and now it's been 6 months and I don't know, now it's gone. That's when you enter into the boldness. And if you've asked and you haven't found it, keep trying. Don't be afraid to fail. You're on your way. We're well on our way to be used by our Creator. God bless you all this morning.